TV networks emerge as obstacles on YouTube's hunt for ads. So, well, we're on YouTube right now. You might be consuming this on YouTube. You might be listening to the audio form in a podcast. But apparently, even though us here are all very futuristic, watching less and less cable TV is doing well on the ad front. And it appears the reason is that advertisers are still afraid of what might happen on YouTube. They're still afraid of what I might say. Or you will. Who knows? You might say something crazy. Or somebody else for that matter. We've had the adpocalypse stuff happen. And I know a lot of people were mad at YouTube, like screaming and yelling, saying, where's my ad revenue personally? But it turns out that's not really the whole thing. Like, at some point, YouTube can only do so much to make the case that you should advertise there. You get to, as an advertiser, choose where you want to spend those dollars. And if you think it might create a headache for you down the road, you're going to decide what the value of that potential headache or the lack of that headache is worth. And that's your right to do so. You're spending the cash. So this particular article here, TV business is not dead yet. As much as guys like us continue to cut the cord, and I'm sure lots of viewers out here are doing the same, it's ultimately advertising that supports businesses like ours here on YouTube and your typical television stations. And what these different categories are able to do is in some way tied into the revenue they're able to generate via advertising. There are some new models that have emerged with different types of subscriptions, of course, Patreon and all the various versions of that, and people paying for the content that they want to get. But it's still mostly advertising. And that's Google and Alphabet's entire backstory, is using advertising to subsidize content. And I have to say, I'm in this position right now because of advertising, right? Like, this content exists because the partner program existed. And I had a method for generating revenue from my own personal interests and videos like this. And so it's a deep relationship there. The other thing about advertising, as much as people hate it, and it can be terrible, and I feel that way many times as well, the alternative universe isn't necessarily better in that you pay for everything you get, because that has its own discrimination baked into it, which is like, what content do people who don't have the money, what do they get? They can no longer exchange their time and attention for the thing they want to get on the other side. That transaction is no longer available to them in an environment where everything is pay to play. Now, I understand benefits, drawbacks, both sides. I'm not saying one is perfect and the other is not. But in the meantime, advertisers are not spending probably as much as they should from a CPM perspective on YouTube, opting instead for your standard NBC, CBS, Viacom stuff. Even if that's an aging group of people watching those networks, even if it might not be their target audience, because you got executives, they don't want to stir anything up. They don't want to lose their job because somebody said something. That's a nightmare. They got to go home. They got to bring the kids to ballet and baseball practice. And so a lot of this just comes down to this, how easy it is to just continue, let the ball keep rolling on the TV department. And you can see here, they like, what is the one? Carpool karaoke. They love it. It's safe, pristine. I think the word pristine is used here. Yeah. The Late Show with James Corden. So that goes out on CBS, I guess. And then the clips end up on YouTube. And they don't mind spending money there because they know it's pristine. Now, I know there's a lot of people angry out there, content creators and audience members, that are like, look, I want to watch what I want to watch. I want to watch something that's mature, for example, or maybe slightly unsavory. And I want to support that. And I think the ads should be there. And I'll even buy the stuff that's in the ads. There's a lot of people out there that might be willing to say that. But you're not the one ultimately that calls the shot on that, even though it feels like you should be. If an advertiser just decides they don't want a headache and they're willing to get a diminished ROI on a per view basis because of that, that's well within their ability to do so. And our entire business models here on the platform have to adjust to meet that exact demand, whether justified or not, if we want to continue to exist. So Anyhow, I thought it was an interesting story. I think we're going to see more diversification on the internet from a revenue perspective because this is not figured out yet. It's still, the money's probably still going where it shouldn't. And because of that, you're going to continue to see merch and creators find other ways to diversify their business models in the absence of potentially getting the advertising revenue that people are used to getting or companies are used to getting on television.